Hi guys, I'm Ruby.
And I'm Bindu.
And I'm Jia.
Today on our show we chat with comedians. Jia Sethi with us. You would have already watched her videos on YouTube. So we are very excited about it. So how are you doing, Jia?
I'm fine, guys.
I'm really loving your specs. I'm going to change my frames for sure. So Jia, what you used to do before stand-up comedy and how you get into it?
I was an event organizer and I used to organize events like Z Cine Awards. And I was part of ZTV and I was organizing all the events with Z. And that was around 12, 15 years ago. And then for 5 years, I did a lot of different things. Like I was a preschool teacher for some time. 6 months I was a preschool teacher. Yeah. I was given all the cranky children to handle. That experience gave me a really great way to handle hecklers and annoying audience members. I always thought that I was a funny human. I was always a funny human. And so then there was EIC was doing a workshop very close to my house, and so I joined the workshop, and at the end of the workshop they were giving an opportunity to around 10 participants to be there at the evening show, but they were going to choose the participants and I got chosen. I was one of the chosen ones. So I did a spot. So that was my first time that I got on stage. And then I didn't do comedy so seriously because there wasn't much happening then. There were like 2 open mics in a week and both were on Mondays. One was at Canvas and one was at Cuckoo. And they did not give you spots all the time, right? So if you had a spot this Monday at Canvas, you wouldn't get it for like 3 months or something. So comedy itself was not happening that regularly. Then I was dating somebody and I broke up. And after that I was like, I've lived 33 years for society. Now I want to live for myself. And then I started producing comedy. I started producing comedy because there was not enough comedy, right? There were only 2 open mics. So the third open mic was like the one that I started, which was a regular open mic. It happened every Thursday. Then I started doing weekend shows. Then I started doing everyday shows. Then I started doing 2 venues at the same time. So then I had 3 venues. Then I lost a venue. But I never stopped. Once I started, I never stopped. I always had more than 4 women on the lineup because of the fact that women feel happy seeing other women on the lineup. I think a comedian makes a good producer.
Yeah, that's pretty true.
Right. For example, there is a time that is supposed to be kept. There is a time to start, time to finish the show. So if you delay the start time, your audiences will get bored. If someone has come on time, and if it's an 8 o'clock show, and if you start at 8:30, the people that have come at 7:45 have waited 45 minutes. Right? That's and true. That is not good for this audience because they'll never come back. Making sure comedians stick to time and not go over time is another thing that a comedian knows more than a producer.
That's true.
Right? Because the discipline has to be there from the get-go. And I have come to realize that being a woman with they call it power. There is no power. All right? There is no power. It's just hard work, which they call, she's being a bitch. Right? So I don't allow people to come late for the shows. just do not like overtime. I'm very strict with my own friends as well, because our friends are the ones that can take advantage very easily. Right. So I don't, I mean, when it comes to my show and when it comes to getting on stage and doing the work, I'm like, just do it right.
That's true. So I wanted to ask you that based on the current lockdown situation and many open mics have gone online. So what do you think the future of comedy holds in India?
Oh my God, that's such a, I have no answer to that. I don't know if the future holds in India. I don't know if we'll be able to go out on the streets again. I don't know how many people will be okay to go out on the streets again. Even if the world reopens, I might not want to leave my house for a while. Right? The fear of falling ill is much higher than having a laugh. Right? And we can do this online for some time. For however long it's going to take, we can do it online. I think I will go out once I've been vaccinated. That's a good time. But I also think that the industry will open up once they allow cinemas to open.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair point.
Yeah. So once people want to go to watch movies and they go to watch movies, that's when they'll go to watch comedy as well.
So I had a question on how did she start Comedy Ladder, which she had almost answered, but yeah, I think
I started Comedy Ladder on the 13th of March 2016 because there was not enough stage time available in Mumbai. And I worked my ass off, dude. I worked really hard at making sure there was an audience every week, and it was a great show. So like for the first 2 years, I would host every show. Every single show that I produced, I hosted, which gave me a lot of stage time. Right? It gave me the chance to be comfortable on stage and be able to talk to people and just be normal about it. And it gave me the chance to get so much new material, because when you're hosting, whatever you've spoken, you can always convert into a joke as well, right?
Yeah.
Because that is an honest reaction that you've had on stage.
I wanted to know, like what is the hustle that a comedian does to get audience on a regular basis? And after this question, I'll probably like give an insight of what I used to do to get the audiences.
So when I started producing, there wasn't many shows happening, all right, and there weren't so many famous comedians. So, but people were interested in comedy. There was less comedy happening in the suburbs because the only place that really was giving comedy was CLC.
Yeah.
Right? And that is in Lower Parel. So I started a Zoom in Bandra, and when I started the Zoom, we would get a regular audience. But when 2 years after doing comedy, for the last 2 years actually, it has become tough because a lot of audiences now want to go to watch comedians and not comedy.
Okay.
Earlier it was different, right? They would go out to watch comedy. Even at Canvas, they would just go to watch comedy. Then it became about, I want to go watch this comedian. Right. Then in the last year and a half, I've started doing themed shows, right, which attracts an audience.
Okay.
For example, I have a show called Breakup Special.
Okay. Yeah.
I have a show called Marriage Material.
Oh, Wow.
which is for like, everyone has material on marriage. Then I have a show called All English Stand-Up Comedy, which is basically everyone on the lineup does jokes in English. That's about it. Then I have a show called Stories We Tell, which is people tell stories. It's pretty simple. Then there's a show called Women Slay Wednesdays, which happens every Wednesday, which is a bunch of women doing comedy, and men pay 400 rupees for that ticket and women pay 200. This is to encourage more women to come for the show, right? And discourage men, but they show up.
They always show up.
It's more like a ladies' night, right? Whenever
It is.
there's a ladies' night, there are a lot of guys who are hanging out there as well. So
And that is why I charge them extra.
Just for showing up. And I think the name is also very cool.
Women Slay Wednesdays.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
Damfad.
Yep, we're slayers. So yeah, we have a lot of theme shows, and that is how I try and get an audience. We had a show called Tinder Loving Care, where you do your Tinder jokes. Breakup Special always did well, It always had an audience. Marriage Material had a different audience. There were a lot of married people that would come for the Marriage Material. I've released a few videos. I think people will come to watch me.
For sure,
Right.
yeah.
So then I think that is how we get an audience. That is why I released the videos, so that I don't have to depend on any crowd puller. I am the fucking crowd puller.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's not confirmed yet because there is not happened yet. So let's not be like, oh my God, I'm crowd puller. This was only the idea that the videos do well, thank you. And because of that, then people will come to the shows, and I'll always have, a bunch of new comics or whatever. Even on the Zoom open mics, I do an Instagram live just before the open mic. So to attract an audience. And so then people do come. Right? I put a post saying you can come tomorrow at 5 o'clock. It doesn't register as much as 5 or 10 minutes before the 5 o'clock open mic. I'm like, hey guys, there's going to be an open mic. Aajao.
So Jia, today I saw your story that your all videos on YouTube have crossed 200k views. So how does that feel?
Thanks, man. I don't know how to feel. It's weird. When it crossed 2,000 in 1 hour, I was damn happy. I was like, oh my God, 2,000 in 1 hour. And that's it, man. That was my happiest moment. After that, I've just been like, okay, thank you for watching.
So does it happen that after uploading a video, you keep on checking the views?
No.
And, okay.
Yeah, so because the thing is, once you upload a video, you can't change anything.
Right.
So by constantly checking whether it's doing well or not, you're going to fry your own brain.
Yeah.
Right? So once it's out, you should forget about it. You work on your next video or whatever you want to work on, your next joke or whatever next show. But if you constantly keep looking at it, it will be like, sar ko chad sakta hai. Good and bad. Right? If your video is not doing badly, sar ko chadega. If your video is doing well, sar ko chadega.
In both the cases.
Yeah. So I just leave it.
Jia, what was the idea behind starting this all-female open mic, and what kind of response you got from the female comics after starting it?
I started it because women feel very relaxed performing with other women, right? And there were very few women doing comedy, so I wanted more women to join the comedy scene. right? But if it's not available, so they won't do it only. But when they know that everybody on the lineup is going to be a woman, it's just easier for them mentally. Right. After that, I used to do an all-women show where there were men not allowed.
Oh wow.
Men were not allowed. This would happen at NCPA.
Okay.
The show is called Femmapalooza. So it's for women, by women, and only women, men not allowed. And a lot of men had given grief about, why are we not allowed? Can I come? Meh. I'm like, no, you can't. And those are great because, you know, when women are around only women, they behave themselves like sassy bitches. Right? They properly let their hair down. If somebody says something, they will go, ha 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 ha. If there is even one man around them, right? They'll be like, yeah, so correct. Oh, shit. Oh, what did she say? Oh, no. We have to behave a certain way in front of men. I don't know. It's natural. It's society, whatever it is. Suddenly, we are not the same. So I wanted there to be a space where even the audience can feel so free as we feel on stage. And so I did all women shows and I've done a lot of them and they're a lot of fun.
I think this is just the way we have been taught things. You have to behave in a certain way when men are around, and we feel more free when they are just women. Like, we can be ourselves, we can talk about anything we want to, and we can laugh hard. Yeah, this happens. I think this is true.
Yeah, I've had 80, 90-year-old women in the audience, dude, enjoying themselves. Yeah. So it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. When we are in an all-girls school, have you all ever been in an all-girls school?
No.
We don't sit. So in all-girls school, we sit with our legs open because nobody's gonna look. Right? But then when you're there, when there's boys around, you always have to be sitting like a lady. And you have to behave like a lady. And so that is why Femmapalooza was created. This just on a different note, I always tell, I also teach stand-up comedy. So I always tell my students that imagine a room of 10 men, all right? And you performing in front of them. Now imagine a room of 10 women and you performing in front of them. Where will you be more encouraged?
All women, yeah.
You'll be encouraged there, right? They'll all be like, oh, well done, beta, you are amazing, right? And all the men will be like, haan, tu mere ko hasa. I don't know why this is their inherent problem, but yeah, so I like to do shows without men in the audience as well.
That's a great idea because women are more supportive towards each other. So it's amazing.
They're forgiving of what you say as well, right? Plus, they relate to everything you say. However old the woman is, she will understand what you're saying. Because, so for example, I'm 39 and you, how old are you, Ruby?
26.
26, right? Now, when you say something from a 26-year-old perspective, I will fully understand it. Right? And somehow if I say something, say for example about menopause or something, you might get it because your mum has it, but you have your period.
Yeah.
So that you will fully get. If I'm talking about PMS or something, you will fully get. And that is the kind of audience. For example, an all-women room is like what Zakir's audience is, right? They're all throwing their bra at him. These women are throwing it at us. Vibe in that room, that energy of just everyone being like, oh my God, you know, yes, I get you, girl. It's just a fucking different vibe only.
Yeah. Before, to attract audiences for the weekday open mics, I would actually reach the venue 2 hours before and I would like find the nearest chai sutta shop and like literally talk to people that there's a show happening within 2 hours. So like it's the right time to like go back to your home, get your friends. So even if they don't attend the show, I just make them like click on the links and say like our page, share our collateral and things like that. Like I have even like gone to grocery shops and done this. So now like talking to strangers doesn't scare me at all.
That's amazing. That is really a great way to get an audience. This happens in Melbourne and abroad. That's how people get audiences.
Okay.
Yeah, which is good. They would take flyers as well, but you getting them directly to your Facebook page is a great idea.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask, which all countries have you done comedy in, and like what's the approach you go about it?
I have done comedy in LA. I did a spot at the Laugh Factory. I've done a spot at Comedy Store.
Okay.
In LA. It was a 3-minute spot. You had to take a +1. There was a massive line at Comedy Store and they would randomly choose names.
Okay.
And I was chosen.
Wow.
Yeah. That was fun. Then I went to New York and I've done comedy at The Stand in New York, and I've done comedy at New York Comedy Club.
Okay.
I have done comedy in Amsterdam as well. There's one comedy club in Amsterdam that does 1 day of English comedy.
Okay.
And so I got a spot at that show and it was fun.
So who are your favorite comedians whom you love to watch online?
I watch Louisa O'Milan. Have you heard of her?
No.
Oh my God. She has a show on YouTube called What Would Beyonce Do?
Okay.
You're gonna cry and laugh at the same time. The next one, obviously Aditi Mittal is my favorite human in the world.
She was
Big fan.
Yeah, she majorly encouraged me to do comedy as well. She may say otherwise, but she has done a lot for me in just being around as well, man. She's just a great support. Then there is a Netflix special called Hormonal Beast
by Lynn Copeland, I think.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Fucking amazing, dude. What a great special. So that is my kind of comedy, just saying. I don't know about being a good writer or anything, but I know that when I perform on stage, I ensure I'm having more fun than the audience.
good point.
I don't care if they're having fun or not. If I'm having fun, they will have fun. It happens a lot of time when I was opening for other comedians. Right? The thing is, when you're opening for another comedian, the audience has come to watch that comedian. So they're not going to be very welcoming of you already up top. So I would always enter the stage like I owned it. I'd just be like, "Main aa gayi hu," and then I would just have fun, and then they would also have fun.
No, I think that's a great attitude. It's important to have fun on the stage.
Yeah.
Jia, did you come any comments or remarks in your so far in the comedy career, like somebody saying something sexist or which is not appropriate to you?
Yes, boys misbehave, right? They're gonna be there and they're gonna do their rubbish, and nothing will ever happen to them. They'll always get away with it. It's unfortunate, but that's just the fact of life. But because I am such an asshole, not too many people or boys have had the balls to be sexist or an asshole to me. Right? And I don't allow it. Recently a comedian tried to blame me for stealing jokes or something. A male comedian. Nobody told him to apologize to me. He put this in a public group in front of other people as well about me stealing some concept of a show. And none of these other people in the group were like, you owe this girl an apology because unnecessarily you were picking on her. What it turns out is that he stole the concept from the guy who was producing it. Yeah. But again, nobody said, hey mate, you're the one that actually stole the concept. What the fuck is going on here? But as soon as he had to bring it up with me, everyone was like, nobody was like, you need to sort yourself out before being such an asshole on such a public forum to me. I've never done anything that is wrong. I've always stuck to the rules. I fucking made some of those rules. Right? So, anyway, I don't know. I'll never work with that comedian again. I cannot give names, obviously.
Yeah.
But he's known to steal jokes. Fuck him.
Yeah, I think there are some joke stealers in Bangalore as well. And I went to Delhi like 3 years ago. And in that circuit also, there was this older gentleman, and when he was on stage, he would do like 20-year-old jokes, and I would be like, a 40-year-old man doesn't think this way, so it's definitely not his joke for sure. So like when I told this out in the second open mic, people actually agreed, and like many of them cancel their slot when this comedian is on the lineup because they're like, I need to like create new things again and again.
And so then the thing is, men won't call these people out. Men will be so quick to call women out so fast.
Yeah.
But they don't have the fucking balls to call their own mates out. Everybody in the industry will know that this person steals jokes. Instead of confronting that person and being like, can you please fucking stop it? They're all going to be like, we will just avoid him and we will just... Yeah.
I think very few people in the industry have like a spine to like stand up for what's right and what's wrong. Very few of them.
And unfortunately, none of them are men.
But they clearly have more balls than them, so.
I mean, that's what they think.
Yeah, they just have balls, they don't have a spine. What's the point of having balls without a spine? Just a paralyzed, horny motherfucker.
I think women don't hesitate to stand up usually. Like, if they want to speak up, they will just speak up. They won't care about what people would think.
Yeah, because women are taught doubt and men are not taught doubt. Right? And that is why women doubt everything and men doubt nothing. If you see the way men will appreciate each other, oh my God, bro, what a kill, bro. Oh my God, bro, you're amazing. And then the other guy's like, no, bro, you're amazing. Bro, you're fucking amazing. 2 girls, you were all right.
So I think once this incident happened with me where there were like 6 guys on the table and it was just me minding my own business. So all the guys started complimenting each other and they started looking at me like, okay, I need to do something about that as well. So I'm like, I'm a horrible liar, so I'm not going to do that. So they just went for the chai break without me. And after that, I've never been invited to any chai.
Yeah, because men love dick stroking each other's dick. And it's disgusting to watch. because you know that that's a load of bullshit. They don't like each other so much.
Yeah.
They can't stand each other and they're just looking at each other going, bhai tu bahut mast hai, nahi bhai tu bahut mast hai, bro, you're amazing. I have walked out of rooms where this has happened and I've literally told somebody, I was like, this is a lot of dick stoking for me to handle. Just left.
So thank you so much, Gia, for joining us, and like I had a great time.
Thank you so much, Jian. Me too.
Yeah,
It's like we
man.
can talk for hours.
Yeah, we should do this again. All right, ladies, thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Bye, bye, Jia.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.